Hello, hello. Welcome to Mindset Monday. As I come back to you live, getting everybody in the room. What's up? Guys, welcome to Mindset Monday. This is the place where we don't hate Mondays, but we just simply embrace Mondays. We embrace Mondays by feeding our lives with helpful insight and positivity. So, that is what we are doing here today. I'm so happy to be back on Mindset Monday. Oh my God, it has been a few months. I had to get things together. I had to rebrand. I had to figure out a way to get this on a bigger platform. And what better way to do it than by doing it on a podcast? It's funny because my mom will always say anyway, like, "Oh, Rashia, I'm watching your podcast. I'm watching your podcast," and I'm like, "Mom, it's not a podcast. Like I'm just going live on my social media platforms." And I'm like, "Wait a minute, hold on. It actually is a podcast." So I am bringing you the Mindset Monday podcast, guys. So now you can catch Mindset Monday live every Monday on all your social media platforms. So if you see me looking to my left and my right, I am live on TikTok. I'm live on Instagram. I am live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, you name it. I am on your live streaming platform. So you can catch me there. If you don't happen to catch me live, that's why we have a podcast. Our podcast will be posted in all places that you listen to your podcast by 10 p.m. on Monday evenings. So if you happen to not catch us live, you can definitely catch me on your podcast listening stations. In addition to that, you can also just go back on any of my social medias and just watch the replay. So you can do that. I chose to keep this live platform because I like to interact with people. I am a people person. I like to talk. I like to laugh. Yes, I do have a topic of discussion tonight, but sometimes we go off script and we just have a good old time. When you are live with me, it is like we are cousins and we're sitting here having a drink, having a conversation about life and about real stuff. So if you are new to the Mindset Monday podcast, let me kind of fill you in and let you know what it's all about. Now, if you're watching me live, yeah, you're gonna see me looking to my left and my right. I just explained that. But Mindset Mondays are important to me just because simply I love a good fresh start. I love a good Monday. I have never looked at Mondays as a bad thing. So you know how we say, "Oh, well, we got, it's a blue Monday. I'm not ready for Monday. Womp, womp, womp." Nope. I love a fresh start. I love the start of a new week because the way I see it is the opportunity to do it right again. So when you jump in on a Monday, it's a fresh, clean start to go off your week. So this is why I chose Mondays. Mondays can set the tone or break the tone for how you are going to go for the week. So it is all simply up to you. But yeah, Mondays are my thing. So that is why I chose Mondays. So, who is this podcast for? Who is this podcast not for? I kind of want to break that down too, because people might think like, "Oh, I don't know, Mindset Mondays, I don't need that, or I'm not listening to that." And you might be right, because Mindset Mondays may not be for everybody, but let me tell you who it is for. I am a person who speaks positivity, but I am also a person who can talk about self-reflection. I believe in talking about the things that we like to sweep under the rugs and things that we like to act like don't exist because it's just easier to do it that way. Nope, I like to flip the rug over. I like to sweep under that bad boy. Give me a mop, give me the broom, whatever we need. I like to go ahead underneath that rug and see what's going on. So if you are not the person who likes self-reflection, if you are not up for holding up a mirror to say like, "Okay, such and such did me wrong, but how did I play into this?" then this might not be the podcast for you. But if you are okay with getting an ouch, girl, that hurt, or dang, cousin, then all right, this podcast is for you. I don't subscribe to mediocre. I never have. I don't like it. I feel like God put me here to do great things, and I am walking in that. I am living in that, and I want other people to do that too. I love being around other people who are walking in their greatness. I love being around just light. I love being around light. So I give light. So if you are looking for something bigger, if you're looking for something better, if you wake up with expectation, or even if you wake up and you don't have all the answers, but you know what you're doing it just ain't it, and you could need a little bit more sprinkle, that's who this podcast is for. So that is for you as well. Um, I like to talk to people who don't mind the challenge, because in order to grow, we have to challenge ourselves. So that is a part of what we do. We grow, we challenge ourselves in every way possible. And I love to talk to people who are ready to embrace their true selves. And honestly, you know, when we put on like a facade, or when you're in front of people and you might give them this version of you or that version of you, yeah, that's necessary, but sometimes we do that so much that we start to bury who we truly are, and then that gets lost, and then we end up finding ourselves lost at, like, wait, what happened to me? Well, how do I get back to me? So I love to talk to people who are ready to just really embrace who they are, embrace that true self. So that is what I am here for, guys. So if you are interested, or if this sounds like you, or if you are a person who is like, listen, I am here for the real, I'm here for the real conversations, I'm ready for the hard conversations, I'm ready to get my mind right for the week, and not only for week, for life, I'm ready to break generational curses, I'm ready to get over past traumas, you're in the right place. So that is who I am in my Mindset Monday, and that is what Mindset Monday is about. Also, let me introduce myself to you. I've gotten on here, I've started talking, telling you about Mindset Mondays, where to catch me, and all that good jazz. But let me introduce myself to you for the people who don't know. My name is Rashia Nicole. I am an author. I am a speaker. I am a mental health therapist in training right now. So I'm all the things. I'm everything positive. I am a mentor. I have a nonprofit organization for teenagers between the ages of 12 to 17. We focus on at-risk youth. I mentor adults. I am a corporate trainer. I wear many, many hats. I am a wife. I am a mom of two. I love, love, love my family. And if you hear a little kid crying in the background, guys, that's life. It's bedtime. That's what it is. So it's life. It's bedtime. But yeah, that's who I am in a nutshell. And I'm just happy to kick it here with you guys. So as we get started with Mindset Monday, guys, make sure you say hey to me in the comments so I can see that you're here. Like I said, I see my people over here on IG. What's up? I got my people over here on TikTok. Hey, hey, hey. And I have my people on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, all streaming in front of me, guys. So make sure you drop a comment. Make sure you say hey to me. And if you like what you hear, or if you want to support, make sure you hit that share button, hit those hearts, and give me some love. So that's what it is. Hey, Shawnee girl. Let me tell y'all, I got Shawnee D on my IG, and I sat next to her on the plane, and we just had the most realest conversation. And this is what I'm talking about when you meet other light. Yeah, me and Shawnee kicked it for real, for real. Love her. And I got my sister Nikki on IG saying hey. I got my mom Sharonda, Ebony. I got everybody over here on my other social media platforms saying hey. I also want to let you know that this podcast is sponsored by the Happy Confident Future Foundation. That is the nonprofit organization that I have where we support at-risk youth who are at risk of having unsuccessful adulthoods because of lack of educational resources, low self-esteem, and poverty. So we make sure that we pour into those young kids. If you would like to sponsor Mindset Mondays, please drop me a message and we can make sure that we hook that up. So that's what we got. All right, y'all. So now we got all the important stuff out the way, right? I am not going to hold y'all long, but I got to get into it. So what I want to do is still talk about some current events that we got going on, right? So all up and down my timeline, literally for the past few days, everybody been talking about baby girl arrested Tessa. and her 50-part series on how her husband was a pathological liar. Did I marry is the title of her series. Listen, baby girl done came on and spilled all her beans unapologetically. Like, listen, this is what happened to me. This is my truth, and we got to talk about it. That's cool. But I want to first start off by saying, listen, y'all, I do not have enough time in a day to sit there and watch a 50-part series on on how this man lied to her and how, all these things that happened to her. I don't have that time, y'all. My life is just too busy. No offense on anybody who did. Shout out to y'all, but baby, I don't have it. But what I can say about it is, and this is especially from the Cliff Notes and everything that I have. Let's talk about red flags tonight. So Mindset Monday, we talk about self-esteem, we talk about self-care, but red flags definitely play into that self-esteem. So that's what we're talking about, guys. So the gist of this, guys, and for the people who I know who have not seen it, basically her husband, she met this guy on Facebook. He was a pathological liar. He lied to her about a whole bunch of stuff. Anything he could think to lie to her about, he did lie to her about it. Deceived her, and they end up, not working out. All right. So that's like the gist of it. But there were a lot of red flags that went up in this experience that she had, right? And it made me think, like, when we have red flags, right? So when these red flags start going up, why are we turning them yellow? And then ultimately we turn them green. Like, what is the purpose in turning these red flags a different color, right? Or why do we do it? So it makes me think about just a lot of different situations that I've been in, because it's not only in relationships where we turn these red flags, green and yellow. Because a lot of times people be like, oh, I would never, or you could never get over on me like that, or I would never. I beg to differ. I beg to differ. So let's talk about red flags, what they look like. All of that stuff. Right. Sharonda, I'm telling you, girl, I couldn't watch it. But yeah, that was a gist. But like, so when you have these red flags that are going off and we start turning them yellow and green, why are we doing it? Why are we doing it? Different situations that have happened in my life where I've had red flags that I've ignored. Thank goodness for the grace of God that protects me, because sometimes we just be, they say God protect babies and fools, because listen, we all been a fool before and we like, oh, I'm gonna just do this anyway. And no, we can't do that. But situations where there was definitely a red flag and you just completely ignored it, and you like, oh, well, I just knew I should have did it because, or I have faith in. Nope, 9 times out of 10, you know when it's coming. But because there is something that we're suffering from, whether it's a past trauma, whether it's a PTSD, whether it's your emotional state, sometimes we look at those red flags and we turn them green because it's comfortable for us. We get comfortable stuck in our mess. So, I said this before, but I'll say it again. When you are stuck and you're sitting in poop, it might stink at first, but the longer that you sit in it and the longer that you stay in it, it don't smell no more. Right? You ever been, sitting in the house, you've cooked, you've thrown the package away, and you're like, it was some chicken or something in there, and then you going on about your day, you go to bed, you didn't take out the trash, but you wake up the next day like, oh, it is foul in here, right? The smell is coming from the garbage, it stinks, right? You still, let's be real, you like, all right, I gotta take that trash out. You close it up, you put it to the side, but you get busy doing something else, right? Trash never goes out. All of a sudden, you go on with the rest of your day. You don't smell the trash no more. Everything looks good. You're moving and shaking. You leave the house. You come back in, and you like, whoa, what did I forget? What smells in here? Oh, it's that crap that's been sitting there all day. That's kind of how red flags work too. So the red flag is going off. Your sensories, everything's going off. The bells and whistles. They're trying to tell you, like, listen, this is what's happening. The red flags are going off. But we sit in it and we fester in it just because we've gotten comfortable doing what we've been doing. So when we get that comfort, we don't smell it no more. And then it starts to just feel right. You're like, oh, okay, well, Well, this is cool. I can deal with this for a little bit. I can deal with this for a little bit. But somebody from the outside looking in, hi, i.e., all of us with Tessa, like, girl, you doing what? You doing, huh? What is that? Prime example for how we're turning those red flags green. Because they definitely start off red, but then they turn yellow because you're like, it's all right. And then they turn green. Um, but relationships, I can honestly say I've had my fair share of relationships where I definitely saw red flags, but because I had past traumas that I was dealing with, I didn't want to back away from different situations that I knew wasn't fruitful for me because it felt comfortable or because I wanted to make sure that I had this certain image or persona that I was just like, no, I'm gonna be cool. I'm gonna stay in this just for a little while because it looks good on paper. This looks good, right? Or this person is doing this and that for me. I don't really like him like that, but he doing all this, so I guess I'll stay. But then truly, you're not happy. Come on now. Let's be real. Let's talk. Let's have a conversation. Right. So in these relationships, and what you do really is you're wasting time. And not only are you wasting your time, you wasting their time. Um, you could really, really, really be pouring into other parts of your life that need attention. But because we're staying in these situations because it's comfortable or because we trying not to go back to our mama's house, because listen, I'd rather stay in this unfruitful relationship or situation than go back to home because that's an unfruitful situation too. Sometimes we sit in our mess. And sometimes we just play with these red flags because we dealing with other trauma. And look, I'm getting above my message too. Again, I told y'all we fly off the handle here at Mindset Monday. We just kind of go with the flow. But that's where it is. So when I thought about that, three things popped up. When we accept those red flags and we start to turn them yellow and green, three things. One, fear of the unknown. That's one thing. Two, self sabotage. Three, PTSD. That's what we're suffering from. And again, remind you guys, I told you I have a background in mental health counseling. I'm in training right now. So everything that I bring to you is going to be from the the experience of life, the experience of education, the experience of research. So that's how I'm bringing it to you. But those three things pop up. So let's talk about them. Fear of the unknown. Oh my gosh. When we talk about the things that we are afraid of, fear of the unknown is one of the biggest ones. The biggest ones. Fear has the ability to literally freeze you in place. And I mean, not, yeah, it can freeze you in place physically, but you're walking and you're just existing, but you're not living because you're afraid. You're afraid. And honestly, people think that fear just only exists in certain situations, but people are afraid of success too. People are afraid of happiness too, because when you lived in trauma and drama and these different things for so long, you're afraid of what happiness looks like because you're afraid that trauma might come back, right? So people walk in this fear of the unknown a lot. So they're like, listen, I know this is a red flag here, but I don't know what's on the other side of this, right? So I'm going to stay here because at least I know what to expect. Even if it's not right, I know what's coming next. I know what's coming next. And if you think about that, like think about like that fear of just not knowing. Here's an example that I give when I am teaching corporate classes. Um Whenever I step out in front of a classroom, I always have to break down the anxiety and fear that's in the room. One, people don't want to be there because they're mandated by their job, right? But then two, they don't know who I am as a speaker. They don't know who I am as a presenter. So we got to break this down. One of the things that I teach people in customer service, I use the example of a haunted house. So let's say this: when you walk through a haunted house, right? You have monsters jumping out from the left, right. Sometimes they're coming down from the ceiling. You got people coming with a chainsaw. With some of everything gonna go down in this haunted house. Usually, when you walk through this haunted house, it's pitch black, right? You might have some little lights, low lights here and there, but usually when you walking through the haunted house, it's gonna be dark, right? um because they want to keep the element of surprise. You don't know where something's coming from. So as you walk through this haunted house, you're getting scared. But how would you feel if you walked through a haunted house and you had a guide with you and they told you, like, listen, I know it's dark in here. I know it's dark in here, but let me tell you, you're going to walk 3 steps ahead. To the right, there's going to be a guy in a Freddy Krueger costume. He going to jump out and say, boo. All right. All you got to do is slide to the left, keep walking. As you keep walking on the left, there's a room and it has clowns in it. There's 4 clowns that are actually alive. All the rest of them are all dummies and all dolls. 2 of them are going to step up towards you and act like they're going to approach you, but they're not going to touch you. Keep walking straight through. As you walk through, you're going to go through this room, right? So you have a guide of someone who's telling you exactly what's going to happen step by step, right? Would you be as afraid if you didn't have that guide? No, because now you have someone who is walking you through and they are literally shedding a light on the unknown path that you have in front of you. Right. So now that fear of the unknown, it kind of starts to trickle away because although things are still going to happen, you're still going to walk through this haunted house. You're still going to walk through those scary times. You're still going to walk through sometimes unfruitful situations. But as long as you have that light and that guide to guide you through, what do we have to be afraid of at that point? Right. So fear of the unknown is one of the things that will stop us in our tracks. Stop us in our tracks. But if we had that light and if we had that guide to take us through and let us know what's going to happen at each given moment and each step, we might start stepping a little bit different. When you stepping through that haunted house, your back gonna be straighter, right? You know what I'm saying? You ready to knuck if you buck at that point. You're like, what? I knew he was coming. What? Oh, get out my face. You know what I'm saying? I got this. I got this. That confidence starts to build up, right? What if we took that same thing and applied it to life? What if we took that same guide and applied it to life? So, what is your guiding light, Rashia? What do you recommend? I told y'all, I give life experience, I give research experience, but I also give spiritual experience as well. I'm not here to debate whether God exists or what color he was or where Jesus, what he looked like and all that. But what I can tell you is I'm a believer. And what I can tell you is that's my light. And what I can tell you is as long as I have faith, I lean on that light and I'm able to walk on through that thing. That is what that is. So that's the fear of the unknown. So even when I am faced with fear of the unknown, what's my guiding light? God. That's my number one guiding light. After that, I watch my circle. I watch my circle. Guys, I can tell you from moving from Detroit and moving to Georgia. And in that move, learning that my son is autistic and not being around my family, and it literally just being my husband and myself, that was a really, really, really big step. Okay. What's up, Ramon? Hey, mom, I see you in the comments. Ebony, I see you too. Um, that was a really, really, really big step. And it's a really scary path to walk. I'm still walking that path. Okay. My baby is 3.5 and okay. That's all I got to say. We still potty training around this bad boy. We are doing all the things. We are in ABA therapy. We in speech therapy. We still have a marriage, that we maintain. So it's a scary walk to walk, right? But as I walk that walk, one thing I know that never wavers is that faith in God. One thing I know that without a shadow of a doubt will never leave me is the Lord. I gotta lean on that. That's my strength. It's not the universe. Because I know people be like, oh, the universe. Listen, universe ain't doing nothing. It's God, baby. He created it. What? He created it. And he's carrying me. He's carrying my family. So the fear of the unknown that gets eliminated when I know who guides my life. And so even for my people who aren't believers and you like, listen, Rashia, I hear you. sis, I hear you, but I'm not there yet. That's okay. Take baby steps. It's okay. It's okay. It is literally okay. You gonna get to the place that you need to get to, but baby, you got to start putting one foot in front of the other and taking those steps, regardless if you scared, whether you know what's going coming around the corner or not. You still got to take that step. You still got to walk. All right. I told you I wasn't gonna keep y'all all night. I'm running on 25 minutes. But second one, all right, self-sabotage. That's a big one. Speaking of self-sabotage, shameless plug, guys, I am a speaker at a conference on April 20th at Georgia Tech. I have posted the link on my Facebook page, but I will post it here for you guys to take a look. But I am a speaker at a conference, and we are specifically talking about self-sabotage and the things that we do to sabotage ourselves and we don't even realize it. So yes, I am posting that link right there. So if you are in Georgia, or if you even want to travel to Georgia for this conference, please be my guest. But self-sabotage, that's another thing. So we see something going so well, and again, we're used to the crap, we're used to the funk, we're used to the crap that we sitting in, that we don't know how to deal with the goodness that's put in front of us. So we sabotage it before it even has the the wherewithal to grow. We kill it. Yeah, Ramon said self-sabotage is this generation's biggest problem. Absolutely. And sometimes this is where self-sabotage comes in. And y'all, some people gonna rock with this statement, some people ain't, but I don't care. Self-sabotage a lot of times can be prevented if you do this. Be quiet. Sit back and listen. Sit back and learn. Be willing to, be open to. Some of the when I tell you, having a nonprofit organization for children. All right. And I work with kids between the ages of 12 to 17. I work with the troubled age, the ones that, oh, you work with teenagers, they got attitudes. Y'all got attitudes too. So what? So what? Right. But I'm telling you, working with those young kids will teach you so much more about yourself than you ever thought that you would teach them. Just sit back and listen. But a lot of times we discredit young people because they're young, they don't know nothing. Wait a minute. Pause. Hear them out. The good thing that what I love about children are very discerning. But see, because we've lived life and we have a lot of things that have masked our opinions and the way that we view the world, we don't see it like they see it. But one of the things, little kids, oh, they're so raw, they're so genuine. Hey, baby girl, I see you over here. They're so raw, they're so genuine. They're gonna tell you your breath stink off rip. Like, right? Little kids so raw. But even our teenagers, they see the world and they are so smart. They're so freaking smart. They just communicate a little bit differently. They just communicate a little bit differently, right? So when I say self-sabotage can come in the form of you talking, sometimes we just got to be quiet. And this goes for our teenagers too, because y'all got to be quiet too and listen sometimes, right? But sometimes we just have to be quiet and listen and soak in what's going on around us. Because if you take 2 seconds to just be quiet and really truly soak in what's happening around you, just really soak it in, you can start to see like, wait a minute, something looks off about this situation. Why did I do this when I could have just, why did I go left when I could have easily just went right? What am I doing? How am I feeling? Why did I make that decision? But because we always on go. We always on, listen, I need an instant gratification. I'm always on go mode. I need something. I need it now. I don't want to wait. But because we are always stuck in that mode, it's just so easy for us to miss it. For us to miss it. So, guys, when we are self-sabotaging, I'll give you a very personal example of self-sabotage. So, and I didn't realize that this is what was happening. So I was raised by a wonderful woman. She is in our comments. My mom raised me as a single parent. Okay. She did not have my father was around, but he wasn't present. Okay. My father lived in another state, so he kind of popped up whenever he felt like it. So that support was not there. All right. So when my mom had to make decisions for the household, she had to make them as a single mother. She had to make those decisions according to the household that she had and how she ran that household. She had children growing up on one of the roughest neighborhoods in the city of Detroit off Dexter and Davidson. Listen, there are some decisions that you just going to have to make for the betterment of your household. She was the king and the queen in that bad boy, and her word was the first, the last, and the final say. Right? That's how she ran the house. That's how it was. Right? Nothing against that, but I took that same thing and I brought it into my marriage. Anybody see that red flag there? Anybody see that? So I said my mother was a single parent. So I brought single parent vibes into a two-person household. How that work? Work, right? So in my head, I'm like, yeah, I'm pulling on some of the same things that I seen her do, some of the same attitudes, and why that may have worked for her single household, that was not working for my marriage. I was literally self-sabotaging that thing because that's all I knew. That's all I knew, right? But I didn't give myself time to be quiet enough to listen to what my husband was saying when he would speak up on certain things. And I'm like, what? Boy, no, that's just how it's gonna be. When he telling me, hey, woman, you can't yell at me. Like you can't yell at me. Well, that's just how it's gonna be because people yell. He's looked like, ma'am, I love you, but you can't yell at me. Right. So, but in my head, that's how this supposed to go. Totally self-sabotaging my entire marriage, didn't even really realize it. Right. Because one, I had not seen marriage work. Yeah, I've seen my neighbors that were married for a long time, but the direct example that I had of marriage just didn't exist because again, I was raised in a single parent household. I didn't know what that looked like. So I knew the idea of being married was cool, right? I knew that that's what I like. Okay, I want to walk down the aisle in my white dress. I want to be married. I want to have a husband. I want to have children. I want to have these things. But is that what you really want? Are you living like because you say that's what you want, but this is what you're doing. So those two things aren't aligning. So do you want a marriage? Are you self-sabotaging this marriage because you've never seen it work before? I had to take a step back and sit in that, right? Um, Again, self-sabotage comes in many, many different forms. Many, many different forms. Thank God for I had to bump my head a few times. We bumped our head as a couple. But it took for that and a really, really bomb marriage counselor, okay, who put us both into perspective and said, hey, Rashia, listen, you can't make this man feel like you don't need him. What's the purpose of him being there? And hey, Rashad, here's how you have to speak up and talk to your wife, right? So thank God for those things because that kind of helped pull us out of it. But not realizing the examples that I had in my head, marriage, yeah, it's a thing, but is it really a thing for you? Right? You're doing things that will ultimately end your marriage if you don't straighten this up. Stop sabotaging this thing because it's a good thing, but stop sabotaging it. All right. So that's one. The third thing that I was going to talk about was PTSD. Guys, I want to talk about PTSD a little bit because when we think PTSD, what's the first thing you think about? When you hear post traumatic stress disorder, what's the first thing that you guys think about? And I know it's kind of a lag, but let me know in the comments when you hear that. Um, that's what's up, Ramon. Let's link up after this. Definitely shoot me a DM. Um, when you think PTSD, What do you think of? When I think of PTSD, I'll tell you how I think of. I think of war vets. I think of people who have been to like, overseas and they've gone to war. So you come back and you have PTSD, right? My father, my uncles, my cousins, a lot of them went to Vietnam and remember that war, they went over there. A lot of them never came back. They got drafted, all that stuff, right? They didn't come back the same. So when you think PTSD, you instantly think of war, a person who has been at war. But how have we been at war in our lives? PTSD looks very different, and especially it looks different on African Americans. Let's talk about that real quick. PTSD looks real different on us. What a lot of people like to paint as anxiety or depression really is PTSD in disguise. So, textbook, I'm sure I got one up here, right? Textbook says PTSD looks like one, two, three, four, and five, right? That's cool. I'm not debating against that. But what I am also saying is you have to consider culture. You have to consider a person's past to truly look at what depression and anxiety is. A lot of times it's PTSD. We are suffering and we are going through Black people go through so many different traumas that other races could never even imagine. And it's a daily trauma. It's a daily trauma. Can we just rewind back to 2020 when our you know what I'm saying, when the killings was happening, we rioting, we like come on. Like I'm looking at my husband go outside the door and I'm hoping that he comes and makes it back because of the racial tension that's outside of our doors is so thick that I'm scared for him to leave. No, I didn't go fight in Iraq, but we fighting in America and in Detroit for sure. For sure. And speaking of Detroit, there was recently, and I know all my Detroit people already know about this because it's been all over the news. A woman who was looking for her missing son, and they were filming live. And while they were filming, they ended up finding this young man unalived in a garage. And she fell out, she's crying and she's going through it. And one of the things that she said that stood out to me was she said, "Y'all just killed me." And I'm just like, wow. So that is a type of trauma that we have, that we suffer, that we're going through, right? So to tell someone who's experienced something like that, oh, you got anxiety and depression, baby, she just went through the biggest trauma that she will probably ever experience in her life. Hold up. Before we start to give those diagnoses, let's look at what PTSD looks like for us. It looks real, real different. It looks like self-sabotage. It looks like fear of the unknown. It looks like those the very same symptoms that might present as anxiety. No, you don't want to talk to people. Yeah, you get nervous in big crowds because what has happened to you? Let's start to examine some of those past things that you've gone through. And we really have to go back and start to talk about the things that happened to us as children because we got to start to heal that baby and that kid within us because that kid, even though we're in our 30s, 40s, 20s, 30s, 40s, that baby still exists. Looking to be loved, looking to be held, looking to be nurtured, right? So we have to look at our PTSD. It comes through a lot differently. It comes through a lot differently. So, kind of pulling us back full circle when we're talking about Recitessa, I don't necessarily point the finger at her. I don't necessarily immediately judge her. I don't do that. I'm not going to call her dumb. I'm not going to call her stupid. I'm not going to say any of those things. But what I will say is she's an individual who was longing and who was looking and who needed something and who wanted to grasp onto something and held on to that something that she found so tight, even if she didn't know it was a lie. Even if she didn't know it was a lie. So, what I want to pull up is this: how to recognize your red flags, right? Because we've been talking about, hey Jay, we've been talking about red flags. We've been talking about PTSD, fear of the unknown, self sabotage. I want to at least help you or leave you with this. How do we recognize our red flags and really start to point them out? Now, the first thing is this, and I really want to lead with number two, but I'm not because I really want to touch it again. Y'all know I'm a mental health therapist in training. I got to give y'all this part, right? Number one, what's your mental state like? How is your mental state? Are you emotional? Are you looking at past trauma? Something happens, right? And when that something happens, it might be a red flag that's going up, and you're like, "Oh, wait, hold on," right? Your sensors are going off. But I need you to stop and ask yourself, what's your mental state? Are you emotional at the time that you're recognizing this red flag? Because if you are emotional, whether it be upset, whether it be happy, whether it be sad, whether you're angry, hey Yolanda, whether you're angry, how emotional are you when this red flag pops up? A lot of times people will use this and they'll work off of emotion and they'll say stuff like, "Oh well, God told me." Wait, hold up, wait, did he is that a God feeling or is that a gut feeling? Hold on, because there's a difference. There's a difference. There is a difference. That difference makes it, that difference is your emotional state at the time. What is it that you're thinking about? How is it that you're feeling? Are you level-headed? Are you relaxed? Are you, what is it that you're thinking at that time? You have to recognize your emotional state. You have to take a look and examine yourself. So, I am a big, 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 big component of therapy. And let me say that again, y'all, I'm a mental health therapist, right? So, of course, I'm a big, big component of therapy. But let me tell you why. One, people think that we only go to therapy when something is wrong. Only when something is wrong. That's not true. That's not true. Sometimes you just need an outlet. Sometimes you need somebody other than the people that are in the four walls of your home to give a different perspective to. So you tell them what's going on, they can give you a different perspective and they can help you get to that self discovery and give you just a different way of thinking about something. Okay. So that's number one. I'm a big component of therapy, not just when something happens, not just when things are going haywire, but no, I'm a big component of therapy even when things are going right. Even when things are going right, I'm a big component of it. Hey Aaron girl, I see you. Big component of that. You just want to make sure that you're still going. Make sure that you're still talking to people. Make sure that you have that gut check. That's just like saying, I don't go to the dentist only until my tooth hurts. That's it. Like, what? You ain't going for cleanings? You ain't flossing? You ain't brushing? You ain't doing nothing, huh? You just gonna go to the dentist just because your teeth hurt now and they all about to fall out. That is what it's like to only go see a therapist when something is wrong. Keep that, even if it's not a weekly thing. So I'm not saying that you have to sit on somebody's comfy couch every other week. Okay. Not saying that. But maybe a quarterly check-in, a monthly check-in is worth it. It's worth it. And one thing that I hear a lot, I can't afford therapy. There are so many free services out there, guys. And even as therapists, there are a certain amount of hours that we have to like give away. So most therapists, I'm telling you, if you tell them here's what my financial hardship is, they can at least throw you a couple sessions. People who my corporate people who have corporate jobs, I don't know of one corporate position yet that does not have some type of team member helpline that you can call and talk to a licensed professional, right? So, and they have that for crisis modes too. But guys, therapy, therapy, therapy. And I will also give this disclaimer: therapy is a lot like dating. It is. I'll be honest with you. Therapy is a lot like dating. You have to keep going until you find the one that you click with. I had a I had a therapist. Look, I start laughing when I think about it. Y'all, I had a therapist. I'll never forget. This lady probably back in like 2014, 2015. I went to her and I was telling her about myself and stuff. And I was telling her, like, yeah, I want to get into public speaking. That lady looked me dead in my face, was just like, oh, public speaking. Yeah, I did that. That's not gonna work. Who are you talking to? Me? Who are you talking to? You must don't know who you got sitting in front of you. Oh, okay. So, right. So, I mean, just like you have crappy doctors, you might run into some crappy therapists. I am not going to sit up here and lie to you, but it is worth the journey to keep trying. Psychology Today, you can go on that website and you can definitely look at their profiles. You can see exactly what it is, where they graduated from, what it is they specialize in. You can really look at these therapists and see who suits you. Shameless plug. That's what it is. Catch me in 2025 when I'm fully licensed. All right. That's all I'm saying for that. But how's your mental state? All right. So how to recognize your red flags. Number one, how's your mental state? Are you emotional? If you are emotional, I need you to calm down and reevaluate that whole situation. Number two, your gut feeling. Now, you can recognize a red flag if you pay attention to your gut feeling. All right. Um, when I tell you your gut never lies and it never leads you the wrong way, it never ever lies. It's that little twinge that you feel. Because some people are like, what you mean your gut feeling? How am I supposed to decipher this? How do I know? Listen, your gut feeling is that little twinge that you feel when you think about that thing, or you know that you're driving and you're like, I should have went this way, and you go the other way instead. I'm telling you, trust it every single time. Your gut will not lead you wrong. And I love this because my husband is really good at respecting my gut feelings. So he will normally say, if you got a gut feeling about it, hey, I trust that thing. Then we gonna go the route that you want to go, right? Because I'm so in tune with it that even if it just something feels a little bit off, right? I gotta go. 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 Right? But trust your gut feeling. Trust your gut feeling. It is a thing that will tell you to go right when you were about to go left. It is a thing that can literally save you from a life or death situation. Trusting your gut feeling about someone, something, situation, whether it's a job, it's not just relationships, y'all. It's jobs, it's friendships, it's situationships, all of those things. Trust it. If something feels off, then it probably is. My mom just commented and said that it's God given. It is. Your gut is definitely God given. It's God given for sure. Um, but trust it. Don't doubt it. Always trust it. All right. So your gut feeling is that twinge that you get. All right. Number three. This is the big one. Is one plus one not equaling two? It don't add up. Like it is not adding up. Listen. So if we go back to Tessa, okay, baby, all the red flags was going off. This man had told her he is about to. It's not the bubble guts, Jay, but this man is telling her he about to do all these things, buy these houses, baby. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. That's just like having a guy come into your life and he's saying, "Baby, I'm gonna buy you a Gucci bag," but his shoes is busted and running over, or he ain't got no car. How you gonna buy me a Gucci bag and you can't even buy yourself a bar of soap? What? Make it make sense. Or how you gonna tell me, oh baby, it's good. We gonna do all these things, but you still living with your mom. Wait, huh? Wait a minute. Make it make sense. I'll give one in the business life too. Gut feelings and when things don't add up in the business world. You're doing a contract or you're doing something with someone and they make all these promises. I just posted something about this on IG. There was a baker and she was working with Tesla. And Tesla had hired her to do all of these, treats and things, but then they backed out the deal at the last minute and they didn't do it. There was something in that scenario where one plus one didn't equal two. All right. Red flags. We have to pay attention to them. And honestly, when one plus one don't equal two, there's there's a few different things that you can do to kind of cross check that. Number one, start to do your research. Two, in business, make sure you have contracts. Three, make sure that you do follow up. All right. make sure that you do these things, because if it's not adding up now, it's probably not going to add up tomorrow, and it's not going to add up the next day after that. Like, you have to pay attention to the things that don't make sense. You have to. If you talking to a chick and she like, yeah, I love you, baby, and da 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 da. You text her all day long and all this, that, and the third, but then when it's time to see her, she going ghost. Hold on, wait a minute. What what's going on, fellas? You got to pay attention. She probably married, so she probably in a relationship. All right. So this is what I'm saying. You have to pay attention to when things just don't add up, or when somebody makes promises to you for things that they can't do for themselves. Come on now. Come on. How you gonna promise to bring all this to the table and you don't bring nothing yourself? Wait. Huh? Make it make sense. So when things don't add up, that's when you have to recognize that red flag. So number one, I'll recap. How is your mental state at the time the red flag pops up? Number two, trust your gut feeling. You have to trust your gut feeling. If you feel something in your gut about a situation or about a person or a friendship, just make sure you listen to it. And as Jason said, it's not the bubble guts, okay, y'all. It is actually a feeling that you feel in your spirit. If something feels off, listen to it. Number three, if something don't add up, if 1 + 1 ain't equaling 2, or if somebody done told you something and you can't verify it, that is a red flag. In business, if someone has promised you something, if you don't have a contract that says that you're going to get what they have promised you, then it does not exist. And this is especially for my I just want to put this out for my small business people. As you start to grow and as your business starts to pop, people are going to start looking at you and people are going to want to start connecting with you. And if they can't provide a contract to guarantee you what it is that they're going to give you, then 1 + 1 ain't equaling 2. I literally just turned down an opportunity because of something. And I say opportunity because of something like that. They gave me all my props. Oh my God, you're so good at training. You're this, you're that. I know these things. I know the value that I add to an atmosphere, but I need the contract to reflect those things too. So if the contract doesn't reflect that, then guess what? We ain't gonna do it, right? You have and honestly, when businesses approach you that way, and they don't have their stuff together, that's a big red flag. All right, guys. So I have given you the whole spiel, the rundown on red flags when it comes to relationships, when it comes to business. I really didn't touch on friendships like that, and I really want to, and I probably will end up touching on friendships a little bit deeper, just because friendships and red flags, Lord Jesus. Yeah, that's a whole nother podcast that we can go through. But I want to make sure I touched on just this whole Recitessa um scenario. I would call it that, a scenario, but I'm praying for her. Look, it looks like a lot of stuff has come from it. So shout out to her. Listen, she got on here, she told her truth. And she is definitely in her bag because she showed up unapologetically herself. So shout out to her. But guys, that is it. That is Mindset Monday today. I really wanted to start off this season of Mindset Monday, digging into the know and the what's going on, and just really connecting with you guys again. I am so happy to be back after our little short hiatus. I am happy to be here. I'm excited about this season of Mindset Monday. Just to let you know, guys, we will be back every Monday for this season of Mindset Monday. We are now going to be an official podcast. So anywhere where you listen to podcasts, you can play this episode back. You can listen to it on the way to work tomorrow. Whatever you need to do, Mindset Monday is in the bag. If you would like to sponsor Mindset Monday, please shoot me a DM. I would love to talk that over with you. And we do contracts this way, y'all. I would love to talk that over with you, and see in what ways you could support or would like to join forces with the Mindset Monday. I love what I do. I believe in uplifting people. I believe in just living better, being better, being happy, like unapologetically happy. Like I just believe in that. Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. And I love teaching other people how to do it too. So that is what we are doing here on Mindset Monday. I cannot wait to connect with you guys. And we will be in touch. And I will talk to you guys next week. Bye.